Welcome, Studs and Scrubs, to another episode of the Studs and Scrubs podcast. Joined with me, as always, is my co-host, Nickstrom. Nick, how you doing today?
Yeah.
Hey, pretty good. I'm Stu Coffee, and we had a little bit of technical issues getting this episode up and going. As you can see back here, if you missed episode 5, we recorded right during Hurricane Milton. Had some technical issues. Then that went through. It was really, really bad, but where I live, I was okay. I'm near Tampa. And then today we had some technical issues too. So Nick and I are trying to just kind of drop a quick episode, rifle through some things real quickly, and hopefully get a recording that works. So we're going to cut down the banter today and just kind of get after it.
I could figure out how to work technology, but that's my fault.
1912. Watch out for icebergs, Nick. I'm telling you.
You'll
Don't
ever meet in your
get
life,
on the ship. It's like my mom's like this for our listeners. Nick knows my mom very well. My parents are in their early 60s. My mom acts like she's 130. She's like, well, things weren't like that bad. They were just better before the war.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
which one?
What war? You were born in the 60s, not the 20s. Like, what are you talking about? Anyways, so we had some things written down here. Nick and I both. We're going to skim over some of it. Wild start to the season. I mean, every hockey outlet, every radio, every podcast is talking about. My joke was going to be, what year is it, Nick? If I told you Edmonton Oilers haven't won a game, the Flames are on fire, the Blackhawks are doing great, and the best goalie in the league plays for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
What year?
I would not have seen any of that coming so far. Especially...
Right? I'm sitting here thinking... Right, okay, Carey Price, it's a giveaway. Maybe 2015, Edmonton was struggling a little bit. Maybe 2012. You know, it's like crazy start of the season.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't bode
kind of
well
gonna blow
for
past
all
that.
Our kind of division predictions and any of that stuff. So...
Yeah, some of them I think we were okay with, but yeah, there's a few where it's like pretty much everybody said Edmonton's a top 3.
Flames are trash.
You know, top 5 in the league. They might go back. Oh, McDavid's going to carry. Flames are horrible. Flames. Even like, I mean, we kind of had the quote-unquote bold prediction Utah would be good. I feel like a lot of people thought that. But, I mean, I didn't see him just coming out like Gunther's leading the NHL in goals, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I thought they were going to be better than people expected, but not like number 1 in the NHL.
Yeah. So a lot of surprises so far. Bertuzzi is not quite on pace.
A lot of surprises. Good.
93 assists.
Well, you know what? That's a good segue because I got to eat a little bit here. I'll take my lumps.
We can get there.
Season's still young. There's plenty of time to get 90 points. But the first 3 games not looking great. The team is, though. The Blackhawks team is looking pretty good. Bertuzzi, not so much. Which, though, is a good segue. Because I was going to do like is it time to panic thing just for fun. Everyone knows you're 2-3 games into the season. Edmonton's not like, oh no, we're going to get, last place. It's okay. But with fantasy, is it time to panic? Meaning, if you play like our league, we do head-to-head weeks. So if I've got Austin Matthews and he's going to score 50 goals through the whole year, then, okay, I have to keep him. He's one of the best goal scorers in the NHL. But you still have to win that week. So if you've got a bubble guy who you had maybe I'll go ahead and use my example, unfortunately. if you took Tyler Bertuzzi and said he's going to have a breakout year, and 3 games into the season he's got no points, and his team just threw up like 6 goals, and he's not involved in any of them, he's got negative fantasy points. It's like,
move on.
You got to drop that dude. I know I said he's going to get 90 points, but I still need to win fantasy. So, like, you have to cut the cord quickly in fantasy. That was one of my studs and scrubs. Unfortunately, I had to put Bertuzzi as a scrub, at least for week 1. He is dropped. And I don't even remember exactly who I picked up off the top of my head. I picked up Marchment. Marchment, I put on my stud list because he's going crazy. I think he's got 2 goals and 4 assists or something in 3 games. And his stats are probably a little ballooned. I don't think he'll carry the whole 82 games like that, but that's what you need in fantasy.
Yeah.
I picked him up. He got an assist tonight. So that's a good fantasy win for me, and a terrible prediction that Bertuzzi was going to get 90 points so far. But so there's my first rapid fire, just in case we lose IT. My scrub is Bertuzzi, and then what I did in real life was I went out and picked up Marchment, and it worked out.
I like
so,
it. I got a scrub for you, and I mean scrub just because for right now, I don't think he's going to be like this all year, but it's Alexander Georgiev. He had negative points in fantasy the first 2 games, and then I think he just played last night, so we're recording this on Tuesday night. So last night, 5 goals against? He did have 32 saves, but they took the loss against the Islanders. So he got positive points in that game. How our league scores overall in 3 games, he has 1.17 fantasy points. He's on a good team, but he's just not playing like a good goalie right now. So, I mean, he's 94% rostered in the league. Minus 3% last week. I do not expect him to be that terrible all season long, but it's just like, man, if you have him on your team and you have enough goalies to play in place of him, I don't know that I'm starting Georgiev anytime soon if I don't have to. But I mean, he is on a good team, so he's going to get the wins. But he's just been kind of a scrub for right now.
Yep. That's a good pick. I like that. Total scrub. And you don't want to just rub salt in the wound, but I mean, like...
Yeah, and I don't know what Colorado's answer is going to be. You know,
no, you got to go
to a timeshare. They're kind of relying on him. So is he going to right the ship? I think he probably will. But, like you said, if you're looking for wins, could be a bumpy road.
You know what? Yep. And, it shows that in the modern NHL, you need the 1-2 punch. Even if you have Shesterkin, like I do, and he's incredible. And the one game that there was a lot of goals against, but, he's had an awesome start of this season. He's debatably the best goalie in the world. Tons of fantasy points. Well, last year he had a slump, and they had Jonathan Quick to throw in and help carry him. And that was less about fantasy and more about the Rangers winning the President's Trophy and then Shesterkin getting his boots back under him and carrying him to the playoffs. Well, Avs don't really have an answer to Georgiev playing like it's me out there. I mean, I'll take $5 million to let the puck in the net. Got you covered. But I don't know what the Avs are going to do there. I kind of like your point, though. He might not be worth
right. I don't think you drop him, but I mean, if you have a couple, 3-4 goalies on your team, and it's like, do I start Georgiev or do I start someone else? Man, I would let him get a game or two, kind of let him find a rhythm before I start playing him. I mean, it's rare that goalies they do get negative points, but I mean, a goalie 3 games in on a team like the Avs, and he's barely got more than 1 fantasy point. Oof, yeah, that's tough.
That's tough. That's tough. I mean, and you know what is good with that is if you want to maybe sit him for now, because I mean, sometimes you have to start goalies, but like if you've got other goalies to start, don't start him. Start another one. And there's some injuries going on to some star people, I guess is a decent segue, but like there's Nylander, Kachuk, Eriksson Ek, Barkov, Devon Taves, Celebrini, and like there's others. Those were just some of the top people I grabbed real quick today. And I think that what you could do if you've got Georgiev, if you have any of these guys injured, it frees up a spot where, like, instead of putting your winger on injured reserve and going and getting another winger, you might have an opportunity to get maybe Vanacek, I think, is going to play a lot of games. I could be wrong, but another one is Hildeby. Hildeby is the third goalie for the Leafs. Apparently, people are saying he's amazing. Like, he's really good in the AHL for the Marlies, and a lot of people are saying, like, Hall is like the future for the Leafs, but he gets hurt a lot. And Matt Murray's got like lingering injury issues, and they're not quite sure if he's 100% and all this. So Hildeby got a start already this week and played well. And people are saying he's like huge guy, like Demko and Ottinger and Vasilevsky, and he's like a dark horse for like real life to help carry the Leafs, to their cup, of course. And it's like, that could maybe be a good risk to pick up, where like I drafted Wolf for the Flames, and so far he's been playing pretty good. It's like Georgiev is sucking. So you want to try to get a goalie who's going to play games. And it looks like Hildeby and Vanacek might get a lot of games. So that could be an option, because I think they're going to be more available than like, if you've got Georgiev, you probably took him kind of high because you assume the Avs are going to win, right? So, like, you can't just go throw him in the trash can and go pick up Varlamov. He's probably taken, So that could be a good option. Was it my turn or your turn? Do we want to do more studs and scrubs? We got a few more. I mean, we're doing pretty good now. We're 12 minutes. We're trying to keep it short.
I got a stud here. I'm not sure how to say his last name, but the winger for the Toronto Maple Leafs, Matthew Knies, Knies. He is on the top line in Toronto. Yeah. He's only 27% rostered.
Good pick.
So sometimes, you think, oh, yeah, there's a dark horse, a diamond in the rough for me. But you might not really have anybody, to drop. He might be a guy that if you have someone that's hurt and you put him on IR or IR plus like we have, so if they're just listed as out or day-to-day, you can put that player on IR plus and then pick up a guy. He might be someone that you're looking just to add, just to kind of see how he does. Again, top line Toronto, getting some power play time, scored a goal the other night. He's got, I think, 5 shots in one game and then 3 in the other 2. I just like the opportunity that he has there, playing with Marner, Matthews, those guys. So if you need someone, he's available in a lot of leagues. Like I said, only 27% rostered in Yahoo leagues. So he is someone that has some potential to score some points out there.
Yep, that's a great pick. I like using the percent rostered. That's a good one to kind of show, like, this dude's probably available to get, where, like, the other kind of topic with some of these people is, like, if you have someone that you think is a little bit underperforming, then it could be a time to trade them, but that sometimes can be a panic button, right? So if you flip the script, you can use that to your advantage. I have Zibanejad, and he had his last game, he had a great game. 1 goal and 2 assists, or 3 assists even. Huge, tons of fantasy points. But he came out of the gate, like, negative. Through 3 games, I think, he had negative fantasy points. And I'm like, dude, you know how high you draft Zibanejad? Like this, and I have Adam Fox. So, like, I need them not only to play well, but they need to get power play points together. And so I won my first week. I did an okay job. Shesterkin did really good. But, like, Zibanejad, no points. Marner, no points. Draisaitl, no points. I had my best people useless. So I think a good strategy is if someone like you were to come along and say, "Oh, Stu, Zibanejad's terrible this year. I'll take him off your hands. He's a center only. He's got no goals. He's useless. I bet you he's hurt." And, you can kind of fleece your buddy a little bit where you can kind of give a decent trade that's like a little low value because people panic, right? So
right.
that's another strategy you can do with that.
Is just kind of realizing that other people are going to panic and other people, are going to sell early or, just want to unload on guys. They're going to overreact to a bad week or, and some guys won't. But, if a guy's sitting on Gorgiev and now's the time to maybe buy low. If I can offer, but you got to be careful because if you're just looking at Yahoo rankings, those numbers are skewed as far as I was trying to think. I was talking to a guy today who number 3 overall in fantasy was Mark Stone earlier today. Not that he's whatever, that he is a point producer, but it's like you wouldn't think that Mark Stone would be the number 3 overall player already, the first week into it. So is he a top 100 player? Sure. Is he 3? No. But if other people see him as a 3 and then you can get some real value in return for him, you might be able to do that. But just be careful. Right. It is always very skewed early on in the season just because of, guys getting hot, limited number of games, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, I should. I can't remember what it was now, but somebody tried to low buy from Leah in our league. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't a horrible trade or anything Brady like crazy, but it was Braden Point.
Okay, yeah.
Nico Hischier.
Yeah.
And Hischier's a good player, but right now he has more points. So it's like, hey, he's got more points. The Lightning suck. New Jersey's in first place. Like, here you go. And, Leah knew. She didn't have to ask me or whatever. She's like, my guy's better than him. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's not the worst trade I've ever heard of. But, like, Braden Point, he might score 50 goals. Like, and the line he's on this year, like, you got to make sure. I mean, not that Stamkos was bad. I'm just saying, like, you don't get rid of Braden Point right now. He's the guy. He's the goal scorer for them. So that's a good example of that. And then I wanted to do a shout out from Instagram because I said I would do it. Linus Ullmark got hurt. In real life, he's out short term. They think I've got him on my fantasy. So I jump into the comments. I think it was Puck Empire probably on Instagram. I like him. Yeah. He's always posting news really fast. And some dude, I think it was the top comment, this guy Connor, he's like, I have Boone Jenner, Patrick Laine, Joseph Wall, and Linus Ullmark on my fantasy team. And I was like, we have to bring this up on the podcast. That's a great example, like how that sucks. And sometimes your fantasy is just like derailed, right? Yeah. So then, but he messaged me and I was like, okay, I'll have to shout it out. Because then he's commenting to some other guy. He gives his whole roster. He also has Zibanejad, who I have. So then I'm like, dude, Zibanejad has negative points, and you've got these people that are like, some of them are out the whole year. Like Laine, right? I thought they said a couple months, but I keep hearing people are like, they're done for the year.
Right.
So would they upgraded them maybe? And so it's like,
I don't think he would be worth stashing. If you got that many injuries on your team and you only have, like we do, only 2 IR spots, I would drop the guys that are going to be out longer, or, just depending on what kind of player they are. Laine, I'm not hanging on to him if he's on my team and he's hurt. And, if I got a free IR spot, fine. If you got more than 2 guys hurt, I would probably drop him. You might be able to just kind of keep an eye on him and say, like, with a month to go, see if you can stash him, pick him back up and stash him again. But yeah, some of those guys, that's a tough situation to be in when you got that many hurt players, because it's like you still need to win games. You don't want to drop those guys, because when they do come back, they're going to be good and they're going to produce. But some of the ones that are out for a longer period of time, I feel like are worth dropping, because you don't know if they're going to come back. Are they going to have a setback in the recovery process? Is the team going to ease them back in? If you're Line A and you're on the Canadians, maybe they continue this tear and they're a bubble team or something later, and they want to get Line A back. But if their season's over with and Line A can come back in February, but let's say he has takes a step back and now it's March. Right. Are they really going to bring him back, or are they just going to say, you know what, let's just shut you down and get you all the rest and come back fully 100% ready to go next season? So, but that's something you can figure out in that time when you're kind of waiting on him to come back too. So, tough spot to be in. Sucks for him. Sucks when you get that many hurt players on your team, but it does happen. So,
when you got that, no, but I like the advice though, because in fantasy, I think that people struggle a lot with when they have a good player that's hurt, that they take up that IR spot for a long time. And I feel like Yahoo's default might only have one spot or something. We added a spot, I think, but whatever it was. Well, we had three during COVID because that was weird. You had to have a floater guy.
I think it's always been an IR spot and an IR plus spot. And for IR, the player has to actually be on injured reserve. IR plus, yes. Yeah.
In real life, they actually have to be on the long term.
But IR plus, they can be listed as day-to-day or out, because sometimes teams will just list a guy as out, even if he's going to miss 2 weeks or something. And it's like, okay, well, if I don't have IR plus, now I just got a guy that's taking up a spot I don't want to drop, but I can't put him anywhere else. So we've actually changed our settings, and we have 2 IR plus spots.
And that's the way to do it, because sometimes they're not listed and they're going to be out long enough where I know it's quote unquote realistic, but it's stupid and sucks, I think, when you could lose your whole fantasy year off of a week where you're like, okay, I've got Nylander and Barkov and they're out for, 5 days. 5 days turns into 8 days. Okay, well, if that's crossing over into 2 fantasy weeks, it's like you might lose.
You're for sure at a disadvantage.
You lost those 2 weeks. Okay, you're out. And it's a bit ridiculous where, to your point, Line, I would drop him if I had him, because I don't love taking Line in fantasy anyways, because he's the, I get 5 goals and then nothing for 2 months. In the first episode, we talked about them. I think that this year he was going to be more consistent, but now he's out. So, it's a big risk in my mind to take up a spot for 6 months, and then he comes back. Even if he's awesome, he is kind of a streaky player throughout his career. He's kind of shown that. So there's some good players available that is just drop him, especially if you've got our friend Connor here. If you've got Joseph Woll, Ullmark, Line, and Boone Jenner, I would drop Line and Boone Jenner actually, and I'd probably keep Woll and Ullmark because they're both going to get the majority of the starts when they come back. And Boone Jenner is a good player. He's a center winger, but you've got Doc, Holla, Lundell, Bennett, Eberle, Mantha available in our fantasy, just that I wrote down. Mantha not anymore because I went and picked him up, also a streaky player. But, those guys are going to get similar points to Boone Jenner.
Yeah.
Just drop it. If he goes and comes back from injury and he's tearing it up, you might lose him. But whoever picked him up, they might not carry him the whole year. And if he goes 3-4 games without a goal, people are probably going to drop him. Yeah. They're trying to get who's hot, right?
Yeah, I would say Boone Jenner's probably one of those guys that's getting.
So that would be my.
It's just kind of a serviceable ad for teams throughout the week.
Yep. there's a few more. I didn't want to list everyone, but we are getting to where we kind of wanted to transition into the next part of the podcast. There's Gostisbehere, Velarde, Zacha, Arvidsson. I had as a scrub Arvidsson, sorry, but he doesn't. You got to drop. He doesn't have points yet. He's not valuable enough to me. I drop him. And Verhaeghe. So Velarde, Zacha, and Verhaeghe are all not playing well right now. But I think that they'll turn it up. So like that those guys, to me, that's kind of the Boone Jenner point. You know, they're somewhere between 50 and 70 points, depending on the year. So you have to have them on your team the week that they're producing. And you got to drop them the week that they're not producing. And that's what gets difficult. So if you got one of those guys hurt, keep them. But if you've got 4 or 5 players hurt, they got to go. Okay, did we want to transition right away into, and also real quick, actually interrupt myself. You were mentioning the Yahoo stats. You can't just go off that only. And I got a great example because they're right next to each other. So take it with a grain of salt. But Yahoo has projected points Owen Tippett above Marchessault. And nothing against Owen Tippett, but I saw that as one of these like, I don't see that happening. We circle back at the end of the season, but I don't think Tippett's going to have more points than Marchessault.
I don't think so. No.
You think? And I don't know. I don't have their stats in front of me, and I know Marchessault's getting a little older, but like everyone knows Nashville's on this like anger revenge tour with the Marchessault Stamkos story, and Saros is amazing. They just got their lights pumped shut by the Kraken while we're recording. Kraken just threw 7 on them, but they're going to be a good team this year, and I think Marchessault's going to get more points than Owen Tippett. Just a good example to use. Moving away from that, speaking of games tonight, I think everyone has seen, by the time this comes out, everyone has most likely seen that the Panthers and the Calgary Flames tribute to Johnny.
Very
hockey
cool. Yes, I did
to start
see
the
that.
game. You see that? Very cool. If you haven't seen it, you got to go watch the video. Really, we won't do it justice, but it was an organized tribute. They dropped the puck, and his best friend, or one of his closest friends, Monahan, won the faceoff draw to the wing, and they had no player there. Sam Bennett kind of sets the puck up right where Johnny Hockey would have been if he was still with us, and they just let 13 seconds run off the clock, like standing ovation. The crowd cheering, the players, give them stick taps.
It was a cool tribute.
It was pretty cool.
It was very cool also because there's a lot of former teammates of Johnny on the Panthers, right? Tkachuk, I think Sam Bennett was there when he was there. Weeker, a lot of guys that were involved in that trade, the Matthew Tkachuk trade. So, obviously it would have meant a lot no matter what other team they were playing. These guys are all NHL players, so they're kind of their own little community and family. But just another little layer of just kind of how special it was with there being so many former teammates on the Panthers, as well as, obviously the guys on the Blue Jackets that were teammates of his as well. So very cool gesture. Just a nice tribute, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It was just something that I've never seen anything like that, and the way they did it, I thought was very cool. You're absolutely dead on that. I might not have even realized off the top of my head who was on the ice. You got Tkachuk.
I don't know if he was.
I'm not sure if he was on the ice, but Sam Bennett for sure was on the wing. Yeah. But Sam Bennett was, involved in that trade, and the Monahan face-off win actually kind of goes to Bennett a little bit, Calgary, and he sets it up where Johnny would have been. It was just so a fitting tribute that was just really kind of unique and cool to do. Then moving on from that, we had some other cool things around the league that was like. I can't remember what I was going to pivot from there, not to downplay anything with Johnny Hockey, just that, we're not breaking news. Everyone's already seen this. You got to go watch the video. It's amazing. in such a good tribute to he and, of course, his brother as well. But we had a goalie goal while we had IT issues, and we were trying to get on here. So it was kind of cool. It would have been crazy to see live, but I don't think I would have seen it if we were actually actively recording. I got the scores up, but I wouldn't have seen the video. What is his name? He's on the score sheet. It's funny. Philip Gustafsson. Not only did he have 1 goal against on 28 shots and have a great game against the Blues, but then the empty netter he scored, goalie goal. So 1 goal against on 28 shots and a goal. Probably going to be one of the best games of his career. I mean,
count that for fantasy points. They don't even count. When you have a goalie, they only get credit for like the goalie stats, saves, goals again, whatever. But they don't get those points for assists or, in this case, a goal. And I think, to me, it wouldn't be hard to let them get points for that. And I just think that would be, it's not going to make or break anybody's season, but it'd just be cool for them to be able to get those points, for that. It just.
Yeah, I think it should, because obviously the goal is so rare.
Those are a little more
goalie
common.
assists are pretty common.
That would, you can get a goalie that might get, not a ton of assists, but maybe close to 10 assists.
No, but you know what? It could. It's very hard to. You can't really predict that, but it could sway you a tiny bit.
Picking a goalie,
where if you're picking between, I don't have a good example off the top of my head, but Hellebuck I think is bad with playing the puck, and I want to say Carey Price is not in the NHL, but he was very good. Ottinger, right? He's really good with the puck, I think. Pretty sure. I could be messing that up, but I've heard Hellebuck is not great. I don't watch tons of Jets games, but it's like, dude, just stay in the net and save the puck. Don't. In our era, it
was one.
Who was the Wings goalie that always was kind of undervalued? Jimmy Howard, good goalie, amazing glove hand. Don't pass the puck. Stay in the net. He was not good at it. Well, then it was like, I always praised Price because not only was he so good, but he was so good at playing the puck, people wouldn't talk about it because he didn't do the big home run crazy passes. Shesterkin's really good at playing the puck. Price would just make these perfect. It was like Lindstrom. He would just make a perfect play. He'd just grab it, set it down, move it over. And it just every single time, just a little quick bump, and it was like out of danger, gone. It was amazing how good he was with that. But if they had that in fantasy, man, Yahoo really should hire us. We are on a roll.
I don't think it would change, the dynamic or anything that much. But to your point, I do think it would sway some people's thinking and just add another layer to it. Those guys are getting points for it in real life. Why not get fantasy points for it?
Just makes it fun. And imagine if it was just an option, right? Like if Yahoo didn't do that by default, they do the categories. Well, if you are using the point system like we do, and you do head-to-head week to week, and we say, oh, yeah, you know what? That's a cool option. Yeah. Let's add goalies, assists, and goals as an option. Okay, well, now maybe I am kind of going, oh, wait, hold on. What does Google say? Right. Who's got the most assists last year? Now maybe I am thinking about it. Okay. But anyways, yeah, they should do that. That'd be super cool. I thought there was maybe something else that was happening right now I was going to bring up, but Johnny Hockey was the most important, and then the goalie goal I couldn't let totally slip away. So Devils finally lose. I think that was it. I don't think there's any undefeated teams left. Tonight. I could be wrong. Yeah. Flames beat the Blackhawks, so they're undefeated still. Wow. That's amazing. And the Flyers are very close, knock on wood. I don't want to jinx anyone. Ooh. They might beat the Oilers. Oilers might go 0-4. Right? Or did they win one? No, I think. Correct. I think they're 0-3. Yeah. Might be 0-4.
All right. Well.
A little rough. What did I say the other day from Cars? taking the Piston Cup by an entire lap? Where's the excitement?
Yeah.
The Edmonton Oilers just want to give everyone a head start. Exactly. This is what we did last year. We have to repeat it. Yeah. They're superstitious guys. McDavid said, nobody win. Nobody win until November or I'll flip out. Okay. Also a low-key stud is Jonathan Haberdeau. Okay. Might be back. The Flames are undefeated, and he has a lot of points through 4 games.
See how long it lasts.
I assume he's not available in leagues.
Yeah.
I know he had the past 2 years were bad, but Haberdeau, however you say his name, Haberdeau, it might be back. Okay, that's pretty much it for studs and scrubs. I mean, I got a bunch more here, but we're trying to go, and we're at 35 minutes. So did we want to switch gears and do a little bit of hockey history today?
So yesterday, I don't know if anybody, it came up, I follow the Caps on some social media and ESPN and stuff like that because while I live in Illinois now, I was born and raised in Maryland, so the Caps were kind of my second team to the Wings. I'm a huge Ovechkin fan, obviously. And I got a little notification yesterday that Ovechkin...
Oh, he hit a milestone
tonight. 700 assists. So he's...
Sorry.
I don't...
700 assists. While we had IT issues, I believe. They went on for a while.
IT issues were on for a while. I don't know how many players have 700 goals.
Yeah, we're saying that people are like, that game was at like 4 p.m. We've had a few.
But yesterday he was moved to right wing. Normally he plays left wing. Not a huge deal in our league right now because we just have a winger's position. But we used to play that you had to have a left wing, right wing. I
forgot about that. A lot of leagues have.
I think Yahoo makes it that if they have to play 5 games in another position for them to be able to be eligible for that position. I'm not sure if that's 100% still how it is or not. But they were saying that, a winger, right wing versus left wing, not really a huge deal just because, when you're actually playing the game, you're kind of just all over the place. And but it is worth noting because, I did get a notification about it, so apparently someone thinks something about it, that he won a Hart Trophy as league MVP during his first season playing right wing instead of his usual left wing. And then the year after that, he led the league with 51 goals. So I don't know if that makes a difference. Right-handed shot, playing right wing versus left wing.
Okay.
A little bit of a...
Yeah. I'm going to chime in real quick. I think it does because to a couple scrubs like us, it's not that much of a big deal other than your preference. You like to come in and pull that snapper, kind of the Connor Bedard style, or you like to open up. I'm going to go on record here and say I think Bobby Hall sort of invented that a little bit. Maybe even his son, Brett Hall. When you're the right hand on the left wing, I think Bobby Hall was left-handed. Brett Hall, right-handed on the left wing, you twist open and do those one-timers we're used to seeing, Ovechkin, Stamkos. I don't think that was a thing before. And then if you're on left wing, right-handed, you can cut in your forehands on the slot, right? But way back in the day, a left-handed person was on the left wing, a right-handed person was on the right wing, always. And then they kind of flipped over the years because they said, no, you can set up the one-timers. It's better put Kucherov on the right, put Stamkos on the left. Okay. I just heard an interview today with Nathan McKinnon, and he was talking about if they did the Four Nations or the Olympics, and if they put the line, they're all from the same province, right? So if they're from Nova Scotia, they got Brad Marchand, Sidney Crosby, and McKinnon. And they're talking about McKinnon not being the center. Would you let Crosby or whatever? And he's kind of laughing. He's like, dude, it's Crosby. Come on. Crosby's the center. Come on. He's the king. And then he was saying how he doesn't mind playing the wing. And he's like, I used to play wing sometimes. I'm used to the wing. I like the wing. I kind of started my career as a wing. I became a center later. Like, he's good with wing. Then later on, he like clarified. He's like the right wing. I don't want to play a left wing. I don't like left wing. I have to be right. I like coming in. I like my forehand against the boards. I want to be a right winger. And he was kind of like adamant about like, in case anyone's listening, Marchand's on the left. Like, I'm not playing left wing. I'm playing right wing. And it was, now that you brought that up with Ovechkin, it just like, some people, obviously McKinnon, one of the best in the whole world, is like, I only do right wing, bro. I don't play left wing. So it probably does make a difference. You know how people, those superstars get so tuned in? It might just be that, right? Like, just that little, I come in this way is like, no,
maybe
can't do it.
Comfort level or just switching something up, trying something different. But I mean, it was very interesting when I got that notification yesterday because it was like, that seems like such a minute detail.
Something, even just a mental thing,
you're
right?
just brushing off like, okay, big deal, just like, go to the other side. But he has had success. Yeah, he has.
And then somebody pulls the stat.
So going along with that, I'm kind of keeping this. No, it's fine. I'm
sorry. I derailed us here.
Rolling a little bit. So this year, going into the season, he only needs 41 goals to tie Gretzky. I don't think he had a goal tonight, so he's still 41 shy to tie, 42 to break the record. So, kind of want to see thoughts on just what we think he's going to do this year. 41. Ovechkin is 39 years old this year. 40 goals is not. We could almost classify that as a down year for Ovechkin. He's got I think a dozen seasons of 50 goals or more, or something crazy like that. So I don't think it's out of the question. I actually think my hot take is I think he breaks it this year. I think he wants it. I think he knows. I think the Capitals want him to get it. You don't want to be. Imagine Ovechkin getting 35 goals this year. That's a pretty good year for most players. But Ovechkin now has to sit 6 goals away all off season. He's not going to want to do that, dude. He'll put up 20 shots a game just trying to break that record. No. And I think his teammates are going to feed him because they want him to break that record.
Yep.
So I think he breaks Gretzky's record this year, but I think he falls short of 900 goals, and he gets 900 early next season. So Gretzky's got 894. Ovechkin maybe ends this year with 896, and then next year he'll get to 900 goals. And I can tell you, I'm gonna go even a little bit more hot take here. April 4th, 2025, the Caps have a home game against the Blackhawks. I am unavailable for that game. I'm unavailable for that game, so I'm going to say that my bad luck will probably mean that is the day that Ovechkin's going to break the record. I believe that is game 76, 75, somewhere in there for the Caps. So they would only have maybe...
I got the...
You mark it down, Stu, and we'll see how close I get. April 4th, 2025... Caps play the Blackhawks at home. He's going to want to break it at home. And that's when I think he does it. We'll see.
It's interesting because it's almost so poetic where, like, people joke that the sports are all rigged, right? The Super Bowl's planned and it's all decided. It's all scripted. If you take one of the next generation superstars, Connor Bedard, and you say your first game, your first face-off is against Sidney Crosby, and then you're on the ice, the opposing game, where Ovechkin breaks the all-time goal record at home, and it just is one of those stories that 10 years from now they go, oh, can you believe Connor Bedard is chasing McDavid's record, and he was first game against Crosby, and he was at the game where Ovechkin broke the record. It seems like it's just serendipity. That's crazy. That's some bold predictions, though, and I gotta say that I love them, but I disagree a little bit. I think Ovechkin is going to do well, but just like last year where he played terrible and had 30 goals, it's like I see him more in the 28 to 35 window. And because I kind of think that he's going to be on pace a little closer to 20, and they're just going to feed him the puck, power play, empty net, whatever, and it's going to bump from 25 to 30, and then he's going to fall a little short. But I do think that he absolutely will break Gretzky's record because I kind of think it's a little more of a Yager type situation where Ovechkin, we can talk till we're blue in the face, but like he had the lockout, then he had shortened seasons from the half season and then also the COVID season.
He was drafted.
So there's like
first year totally
was
gone,
totally gone,
and then he's had 2 shortened seasons with lockouts, and then he missed a month and a half of COVID.
Right.
When they shut down in like whatever March for COVID.
Right.
I mean, a month or whatever, but still.
So
you're talking almost 2 full seasons.
You don't want to say You don't want to say all the ifs and buts, but I mean, like the pace he's scored throughout his career, it's fairly easy to say he would already have the record, but he doesn't. So I think he will get it because he will play until he's 65 years old and score 1 goal a year.
Yeah.
He's getting the record. But
and for the record,
I kind of see next season. I'm more on the next season.
It probably won't be until next year because I do think the pressure is going to mount. We saw that with him just getting to 800 and getting to. Well, I'm still saying that's when it's going to happen, but. Don't be surprised if it doesn't either, because we saw it last year when he was chasing 800 and Gordie Howe's record. The pressure gets to you. Everyone knows. Everyone starts feeding you the puck. You're the one shooting. He wants to obviously break the records, but he still wants team success as well. So I could see him getting into a little bit of a slump when he starts to if he's within 10, I think it starts getting a little harder for him to score. No goalie wants to be the one that gives that up. No team wants to be the team that gives that up. So
it's a highlight.
Yeah. So I do think he'll struggle the closer he gets to that record, just because the pressure is going to be on him, and teams aren't going to want to be the team that he scores that against. So I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't do it this year, but. My hot take, and I'll go with this. I'll lean that 42 goals is not out of the question for Ovechkin to get in 75 games this year. So could happen, might not, but yeah.
Not out of the question. I agree.
Go ahead.
And we should probably start to wrap up, I guess, because it's a little longer than I thought. But you made a good point. Is that last year he actually had quite a lot of assists, where their team was like this weird failing upwards, team that they didn't have a single 20-goal scorer on the whole roster, but they were making playoffs and all this weird stuff. He was getting a decent amount of assists, and you almost think, as a goalie, as a defender, you can cheat. Where 2 things: you don't want to be the highlight reel of the record breaking, but also you're in your mind thinking they're going to pass it to Ovechkin, and Ovechkin's going to shoot, because he needs 40 goals. So if you're Ovi and you're trying to win for your team, you have almost an edge where you can fake your shot and pass. And you're winning for your team. I do think Ovi still is a team player more than people give him credit for. He's a cherry picker. Oh, he's a goal guy. I don't think you are honest with yourself or watch enough Capitals games that he's an underrated passer. He's a team first guy. But he's got 1 Stanley Cup. Right. That's probably all he's going to get. The Capitals made a lot of moves. So if they are a playoff team, I think he's going to not be very selfish. If it's February and they are in the bottom of the Metro, He's shooting the puck 25 times. I don't care. I'm shooting it right through. You want to block this shot? I might be old, but I can still shoot 110 miles an hour.
Caps, I think,
good luck.
Is they obviously aren't Stanley Cup contenders, but they still want to be competitive. You have to keep Ovechkin happy. You have to you want your fans to be happy. You don't want this to be him limping out at the end of his career. Just, they're going to sell tickets. They're going to put fans in the seats. They're going to sell, their TV games. When Ovechkin gets this close, all their games are going to be televised. Wayne Gretzky's going to be at every game as they follow him around. When he gets within 5 or 4, 3 especially, I mean, he had a hat trick to get to 800. Wayne Gretzky's going to follow him around. They're going to be at every game. That's going to be the coverage. They're going to tune in to Cap's power plays to watch Ovechkin to see if that's when he breaks the record. So the Capitals have all kinds of money that they know that they're going to
And didn't that happen to Gretzky? Didn't that happen to Gretzky? Didn't he beat Gordie Howe's record because he scored 5 goals? There's some story. He called his dad and he said, "Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't think I'd score 5."
That was when he was chasing 50 goals in 50 games.
The 50.
He scored 50 goals in 39, and the 39.
And he did it 39. He was like,
there, yeah. So I just, yeah.
And he felt bad that he told his dad, "Don't come. I got 5 goals.
So
don't come."
I think the Capitals obviously want to still be competitive. They want to put a team out there to surround Ovechkin so that they're relevant. But they know that, hey, we're not a real contender right now, but we're not just going to give it all up. You're not going to trade Ovechkin away at this point in his career. You're going to make money off of him chasing this goal thing. And I think, unless Ovechkin asks for it, but I think that cup that he won is, obviously he would love to have more. But if he didn't have any, I could see him saying Ray Borek style, "Hey, I want to go play for a contender. I want a chance to win a cup." And they would honor that.
Yeah.
But I think because he has a cup, he's a lifelong Cap. Yeah. At the end of the day, we're going to have a statue of a Russian in our nation's capital. And he's going to be the greatest capital of all time. One of the, yeah.
Tell that to Nixon.
It's just a strange situation. So, yeah. But, okay, Ovechkin, we're talking about him, all these goals. So, real quick, I want to just go over the Maurice Rocket Richard Trophy.
Yes, hit me with it. We got a good time here. We're at 50 minutes. Yeah. I think we're going to get basically an hour.
I didn't realize how new this trophy was, Stu. It was donated by the Canadians in 1999 to honor, obviously, Richard Maurice the Rocket. So it really hasn't been around very long. I mean, 25 years, but still, that's...
I would not have guessed 99.
Crazy. So obviously, or maybe not obviously, but the Maurice Rocket Richard Trophy is awarded...
Yes. After this cup win.
Yeah.
I got the 97 cup win on the wall.
The player that scores the most goals during the regular season. So it's not voted on this is strictly a stat. Mm-hmm. Whoever had the most goals, they win the trophy. Which means there can be a tie. And there actually have been a couple of ties. So, but Maurice Rocket Richard played 18 seasons for the Canadians. He led the league in scoring 5 times himself. I believe he was the first player to score 50 goals in 50 games. And I want to say there's a great movie out there called The Rocket. And it is... it's bilingual. There's French and English. You can get the subtitles. You can have it dubbed in English. But I really feel like it's one of those that when I watched it with the subtitles and they were actually speaking French, because he's French-Canadian, that it just was a little more impactful. Yep. But it's a great movie about him and his life. And, there were some things in there that kind of surprised me. I'll probably get the stats wrong because I think they were written in French. But I think he had like 300 goals before anyone had like 200 or something crazy where he was just so far past everybody. And when he retired, he had 500 and I'll say 60 some odd goals, 65 maybe. And I don't think anybody by then had 300 goals. And so when he retired, he was leaps and bounds ahead of second place for goals all time. I mean, he was just so far ahead of his competition that it was crazy. So, and he actually scored 50 goals in 50 games in the 1944-1945 season. So, I mean, he was incredible, unbelievable. One of those guys that we hear the name, we know the Maurice Rocket Richard Trophy, but to look back on his career and see actually like how good he was, I think is something that a lot more people should do. So, he had some crazy stats when he's
a little bit older than I thought. That's 10 years older than Gordie Howe, right? So, I mean, he was the guy just since Gordie had the points record and then played for a million years, kind of eclipsed them a little bit. But that's pretty amazing to be that far ahead of the next best person who's probably on his team, right? It's probably Beliveau or somebody.
So
interesting.
So the first winner of the award was Teemu Selanne. And since then, it wasn't his rookie
season. His
that was
rookie
in the early
year, the crazy year.
So,
no, because he came in the 80s.
Since then, though, Ovechkin obviously has won the most Rocket Richard trophies with 9, and it's only been around for like 25 years. Ovi's got 9 of them. Matthews is second with 3.
Right, when you think of it that way, 40% of
Matthews has
years.
3, and then there are 4 players tied with winning it twice. Pavel Bure, Sidney Crosby, Jerome McGinley, and Steven Stamkos. They've all won it 2 times each. There was one obscure player that had a really good year, and I want to say scored maybe like 56 goals for the Sharks that won this award in like the mid-2000s. Jonathan Cheechoo, who just had like 1 or 2, maybe more than 2, but, just kind of a flash-in-the-pan guy that I remember, but wouldn't be someone that would come to my mind initially if you asked me who won this award.
Not for that many goals. I feel like Cheechoo, if we looked him up, I bet you he would be more of a 70-point guy. Not a 55 goal
And then
guy.
the last thing I have with that award,
I'm curious how many. I'm curious if Joe Thornton was already with the Sharks and how many assists.
I'm gonna say Joe Thornton was already with them
because I was thinking Jumbo Joe, but then I thought, well, he might have been in Boston. He was already there. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, we can keep going though, but I wouldn't have guessed Cheechoo. No way. And I remember him most because his name's interesting, but
unique name.
I think he might be native. I could be wrong. But
last
go
thing
on.
with the award is the youngest player. I'll see if you can figure this out. The youngest player to win the award was 19, and they won it in 2004 with 41 goals, which seems crazy that only 41 goals won the award. Now, actually, I will say in 2004 was a year that the award was shared. So this guy won the award, but he shared it.
Okay, so I'm a little thrown off because I thought 04 was the lockout.
04-05 was the lockout.
Okay, so that's a good hint for me. 04, so 03-04, it was shared with 41 goals. Okay, so I got to put on my thinking cap here. Did he play for the Red Wings?
He.
Then it might have been Jamie Benn.
This guy played for the New York Rangers. I believe possibly the Boston Bruins. And started his career with the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Oh, okay. So Rick Nash won, and he was tied with 2000 Eric Stahl.
Well, now I got to look up who he was tied with, but Rick Nash. Yes, sorry, Rick Nash.
I only got that because of the teams, though. I forgot about Boston.
Was the winner. He was 19 when he won it. So Jerome Iginla that year, and Ilya Kovalchuk.
Okay.
Yes.
So a three-way tie.
41 goals. Now, technically, I don't know how they do this. I didn't dig too deep into the woods or the weeds as far as if they each, maybe they just all get their name on the trophy. I mean, we're not making all these trophies. I don't know. Sorry, I should have done a little more research.
I don't know. I don't know if anyone's name gets put on it. Yeah. You just take a picture and it goes back to the Hall of Fame.
Gets put on the little plaque and on the thing. But this one, I'm not sure what they do, to be honest. But in 2003, 2004, Rick Nash, Ilya Kovalchuk, and Jerome Iginla all scored 41 goals. I would say, though, that Rick Nash, he is listed first. Part of the reason is because he only played 80 games that year. The other two guys played 81. So percentage-wise, he scored 41 in one less game. I don't know if that plays a factor into it or not, but
I don't know. But
they all ended the
interesting
season with 41
because
goals, so they tied.
It's not alphabetical. Right. I'm trying to kind of think
that would probably be why he's listed first. But like I said, they all kind of shared it that year because they all scored 41 goals. So.
That's interesting. I knew you could share it. I feel like it actually happened recently. I might be wrong, but I kind of feel like Pasta maybe shared it with somebody before Matthews started taking over. I might be wrong on that, but the three-way tie, though, that's interesting. I do not remember that.
That's the Rocket Richard.
Okay, I love that, though.
Newer trophy than I realized, too, when I started looking it up. So, very interesting.
Yeah, kind of a cool trophy too, right? It's Richard skating with like big fanned out, silver behind it or whatever. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I've got for this pod, other than along those notes about Ovechkin and about Crosby we were talking before. The quote unquote, is it time to panic yet? 3 games into the year. I would put a little bit of pressure on the Buffalo Sabres that if you lose 3 games in March or you lose 3 games in October, who cares? You're this close to the playoffs. And so are the Pittsburgh Penguins. And like you said, with Ovechkin, they have to be somewhat competitive. The Penguins on paper are better because they got all these, Hall of Famers that are in the old folks' home. But they need to start winning some games if they want to go to the playoffs. And tomorrow night, Sabres, Penguins, circa the first outdoor Winter Classic, Blizzard, Crosby versus Ryan Miller shootout, epic goal. I think for the first time in a long time, who cares, unless you're a diehard fan, is going to tune into a Buffalo versus Pittsburgh game. But I think really early, week 1 overreaction, that game is going to matter. That game is going to really matter come game number 82. So tune in and give it a watch. Or watch the Avalanche lose again. Obviously, we're Red Wings. If they go 0-82, I'd be so happy.
Who do you have? Give me a prediction on the Rocket Richard Trophy. Who do you think wins it this year?
Okay, let me give two because I've got the lame one. The lame one is I still think Matthews gets it done. And somebody asked me earlier, and I kind of thought maybe McDavid, last year he was passing the puck, this year he's going to score, but I kind of still think Matthews will get it done with less goals than normal, with like 61 or 62. But then I want to give a stretch answer just because it's a little more fun, and it's not like crazy. I just think that maybe it's more the Art Ross than the Rocket, but I feel like Mitch Marner is going to have the best year of his career. And he might be in the conversation for the Rocket. I feel a little bit more Art Ross. He'll be passing the puck more, but I think that's a stretch answer that is more fun, that he could get 57 and win it in kind of a down year.
I like that.
What about you? Who you got other than Ovechkin scoring 83?
I like this guy on the Blackhawks, Bertuzzi. I think he's going to have a career year.
He's on pace for 0.
The safe answer, I would say, would be Austin Matthews. He's just been lights out the last few years getting it, but I won't say it's a stretch pick, but someone that I could see putting up buku points is Nathan MacKinnon. And I know it's goals, not points, but I could see Nathan MacKinnon at least being in the running for it. So, but we'll see. So,
yep. Good answers. I know that they're a little. Sometimes people get mad. It's like, oh, Art Ross, McDavid. It's like, well,
right, yeah.
What do you want me to say, Bertuzzi? I mean, like,
yeah. So, we'll see, but
I like those. We'll throw up Marner and McKinnon as the stretch picks. McKinnon's kind of hard to say a stretch pick because he's so good.
There's guys. Sam Reinhart has I think 4 or 5 goals. That got the dude we just talked about for Utah. He's got 4 or 5 goals, I think, already. So, yeah. I just don't see. This is where I'm on the prove it to me train, where it's like, okay, McKinnon's put up points like that before, and I know Sam Reinhart had 50 some odd goals last year, but he's also played in the league for a while, and I think last year was the anomaly. Not that was the exception, not the rule. Now, if he continues at the clip that he's at now and puts up another solid year, okay, maybe my mind starts to change. But for right now, I think he's just on a little bit of a hot streak. I think he cools down later. But McKinnon's got 1 goal so far, which, we all know how he can just start putting up points in bunches and goals in bunches. So I'm not worried about that. Not worried about Matthews either. Like you said, Matthews probably puts up 60 goals this year again. So that wouldn't surprise me.
Yep. No, I think that's smart. And to your point, with not Bennett. Who did you say? Sorry.
McKinnon?
Who?
Reinhart. Yeah.
Reinhart, 57. I agree with you where, like, there could be a situation where he drops a little bit and he's a 51. And then next year he's a 47. And then next year he's a 52. It's like, okay, now that's more like Braden Point, right? He kind of came out of nowhere, and now he's like a legit number 1 50-goal scorer. Like, that dude's a total stud. Yeah. So you got to give it a little waiting period. I kind of agree with you where Sam Reinhart, I think, will get a lot of goals, but I think he's more of a 35 or a 40 guy. I don't think he's going to get 50 like the next 5 years. Maybe, but I don't really see that. And he could, but McKinnon, he got 140 points last year. Come on. It's not in the same conversation.
All right.
So, okay. I don't really have anything else for this one. Checking my notes. I feel like we're good. We're under an hour 15. That's what we said we were going to try to do, and we actually did it for once, so we should just... Oh, the Oilers just won in overtime as we're talking. So,
all right.
They got the monkey up their back. Don't know who scored, but there you go. Oilers won in overtime. Doesn't say who got... Leon got a goal and an assist. Evan Bouchard, big for my fantasy. Adam Henrique and Connor Brown. Doesn't tell me who did it in overtime. That's a little annoying, but okay.
Nope,
I got nothing else. Anything to add?
So
All right. Good talking to you, bud. Good catching up. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Studs and Scrubs. Check us out. We now have our link tree up. So on Instagram, you can check us out, Studs and Scrubs Podcast. On YouTube, Studs and Scrubs. On Spotify, Studs and Scrubs. And our link tree is up and working. We also have a website that we haven't made yet, but I don't even know if I told you, Nick. I got the domain name ready to go, so we're actually going to have our own homepage when we get that set up too. So
yeah,
thanks for giving us a shot, guys.
Review, rate,
listen, download, subscribe, share.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the final thing before I hang up is we're in a 12-man league. We do not have 12 5-star ratings on Spotify yet. So everyone in our league, I am voting against every trade of every guy who hasn't gone on Spotify. Nick's our commissioner for crying out loud. You're in our fantasy league. Go listen to the podcast and give it a 5-star review. We're going to have some rules here. There's going to be like a countdown.
How many
You're kicked out of the league if you don't do this by...
do we have on Spotify?
Well, I don't know if we need to be shouting that out. It's probably embarrassing.
I'm just trying to wonder. Okay.
I think it's
single digits, I know Eli did.
We got views that are... We got strangers viewing it on YouTube. Nice. Okay, so that's probably it. It's probably fam. I've done it. Leah's done it. We probably got... we got more views on YouTube that are not friends and family, I think, because the number's a little higher than just us doing it. So...
Sounds good.
We're getting there.
I love it.
Okay, so, that's it.
All right. Make the first move,
Keep your
Conway.
stick on the ice.